Okay, so you saw the title of the video and it seems like sort of a lot for me to deliver. How am I going to prevent 5 years worth of mistakes in like a 10 to 15 or 20 minute, however long video? Well, this video is going to be super direct. So first of all, I hope this is the last video you watch today, or I hope you don't really watch any more videos after this and you try to take action on the steps I'm going to go over. The goal is to help you prevent years of wasted time. Thankfully I've stopped, but I've still wasted a bunch of time. Years of stupid mistakes that I've just done over and over again, and also some important lessons that I'm very grateful to have learned like right now over like if I had to learn them when I was like 40. So let's get started. And yes, I'm just a fairly normal guy just talking to you from this camera. So like obviously I'm not like an expert, but I just want to give you some useful insight and some wisdom that I've learned and hopefully pass it down to the next person. So the first thing I want you to do is to get your phone out. I can't really do it because I'm recording with my phone, but go to the screen time section in the settings of your phone. Now just find the daily average you spend on your phone. Maybe it's 4 hours, maybe it's 6 hours, maybe it's 7 hours, however long it is, and then multiply it by 365. That number is going to be the amount of hours you spend on your phone per year. But now multiply that number you just got by 40 to 60. Now that's going to be the amount of years you probably have left in your life, around 40 to 60 years on average. You're going to get a huge number, and it's going to be shocking because that's probably how many hours you're going to spend on your phone your whole life. And then now, if you want to do some extra math to scare you a little bit more, pretty much find that amount of hours and figure out how many years are in that amount of hours. For most people, it's going to be like 5 to 17 years on your phone. Just 17 years of perfectly good consciousness, of potential awesome experiences, of maybe you creating cool stories to tell for the future. All of that just wasted away from probably just watching pointless content on your phone just because it feels a little bit comfortable to go on your phone. Yeah, 5 to maybe even 17 years of perfectly good consciousness, perfectly good existence, just stolen from you by these tech companies, by these social media apps, just for some short-term pleasure. That's pretty sad when you think about it, right? You only have one life, and you're going to spend years of it by just basically not being awake, being sucked into a trance of just watching content, watching YouTube videos like this, watching shorts, just consuming pointless content. So I bet when you just heard that information, right, now your brain is probably going to start coming up with some excuses. Or maybe your brain is trying to make excuses, trying to downplay how serious this actually is. You're probably going through your head like, oh, okay, this is a pretty bad problem. I'm just gonna watch a few more videos after this video. Or maybe you're making some excuse like, okay, yeah, this is a bad problem. You know, that's a lot of time, but today's the last day. You know, I'll waste my time watching content. So whatever you do, please, and I really recommend this, don't listen to that part of your brain. That part of your brain is going to keep you addicted, and it's probably why you're addicted to your phone in the first place. When it's time to actually start limiting your content consumption or your phone usage, or you hear advice like I'm saying right now, and your brain starts making some excuses, some mental gymnastics on why you shouldn't do this, please don't listen to that, because that's the thing that'll keep you addicted. That's the part of your brain that will defend your addiction and keep you locked into this just bad spot to be at. A good step to do is to make this the last video you watch for at least a couple hours, right? And once again, right now, you're probably like, oh shit, like this is gonna be difficult. You're probably gonna start coming up with some mental gymnastics in your brain, some excuses, but don't listen to that part of your brain, because that part of your brain is the addicted part of your brain. And this is what we exactly don't want to listen to. We want to stop wasting our life, right? We want to prevent 5 years worth of mistakes, right? This is the first step you can take, is to be a little bit angry at that part of your brain. Be a little bit angry at the addicted part of your brain. This sort of part of your brain that keeps on making these excuses is pretty much with any sort of bad habit or addiction you're trying to quit or do less of. Think of it sort of like a trap. Don't listen to that part of your brain, because that's the part of you that will keep you addicted and keep you from making progress and living more like the life you want to live. Again, this is a little bit more serious than you think. Right now, watching a few more videos, scrolling on TikTok a little bit more, playing a few more hours of video games doesn't feel very significant right now. You're only thinking about today and what's happening today. But a few years from now, you look back and you realize how much time you actually wasted. So stop just thinking about what is happening today and think about how this can actually affect you in the long term. Here's something you can do to quit your content addiction and hopefully solve it for the long term. So first of all, why are we addicted to like YouTube shorts, TikTok, YouTube videos, video games, going on the hub? Why are those things so addicting? It's because there's always something we feel like we're missing out on in life. Maybe it's motivation. Maybe it's you feel lonely. Maybe it's lack of love. Maybe it's, I don't know, you're just bored, right? Maybe it's lack of adventure. Maybe you feel like you're not leveling up. Conveniently, technology gives us a temporary solution to make us not feel that pain anymore. If you have a lack of motivation, you can just go watch motivational YouTube videos. If you feel like you aren't really successful right now, you can just watch some motivational video that'll make you feel like you're successful and moving forward. Or you can just go level up in video games and do that instead. If you feel like you're not really adventurous in real life and your life is boring, you can just play Red Dead Redemption. If you feel like you have no relationships and you're lonely and that kind of stuff, you can just go on the hub. So the first thing I want you to do is figure out which type of content or which type of sort of technology do you spend the most time on. Is it watching short-term videos? Is it watching YouTube videos? Is it playing a lot of video games? Is it going on the hub? What is it? Once you figure that out, figure out which sort of feelings are you trying to search for through these videos. Do you watch YouTube shorts to find more motivation in your life? Do you watch a bunch of self-improvement videos to hopefully feel like you're moving somewhere in life? Do you constantly watch the hub because you feel like you're lonely and you have no relationships in your life? Do you play video games a lot because they give you a false sense of leveling up in life and a false sense of adventure? Usually through the content we consume or like the video games we play, there's something we're looking for. There's some sort of thing that we're not getting in our real life, so we can kind of get that same feeling through these technologies instead. But they're temporary solutions, and in the long run they won't change your life because your life will ultimately be the same. So you end up relying on these things to get that feeling because you realize once you get off of them, you're going to be in the same spot and you're going to be hit with reality and it'll suck. So you decide to just drown yourself in these instant gratifications and pleasures to hopefully sort of trick yourself into thinking that you're in a better spot than you actually are. If you can replace these fake senses of improvement, pleasure, leveling up, pretty much all those things with actions in real life, you'll already be saving tons of time of your life. So one of the most important things that I learned is that the person you are right now is shaped from your past actions. Now, it's very easy to blame external things like other people or some event that happened, because when you blame yourself for the situation you're in right now, it kind of takes a hit to your ego and you realize that you have a lot of work to do, and that can be hard to handle. So a lot of people just ignore that and instead they blame something else to pretty much just use that as a scapegoat. Now, if you're a Chad, you'll take more accountability for your action. Obviously, there's some things that aren't in your control that will make you end up in the situation you're in right now. But for most of the things that you're feeling right now, for most of the situations you're in, try to take accountability for it and blame it on yourself. And this doesn't have to be in a negative way. This should be empowering, and it should make you realize that your actions have power. Your actions can either put you in a shit spot or they can put you in a really cool spot. So you do have control over where you end up, and it's a good thing to realize this. And when I heard this advice, it really stuck with me because I realized so many times I think about how my future is going to be in 5 months, a year from now. But then once that time comes, I'm basically the same person and have the same exact life. Now, so many people go through this, and the way you can not do this is to basically switch up your actions, to do actions for your future self. The reason why most people stay in the same exact situation is because they only do actions that benefit themselves right now. So I highly recommend you just put your ego to the side and you realize a lot of the reasons why you might be kind of depressed right now, why you might be kind of lonely right now, why you're skinny fat right now, a lot of it might just be your fault. And that's fine, because once you realize that, that'll actually empower you to start taking actions that will basically put you in a better situation. Your actions truly have power, and they can either make your life worse or a lot better. So many of us only care about the pleasure of today, and we sort of disregard that we'll be alive tomorrow and alive months from now. Now, yeah, obviously you might get hit by a fucking bus or a plane, but realistically, that's probably not going to happen. You're going to wake up tomorrow. Trust me, when you keep avoiding any sort of discomfort, difficulty, and you just keep on indulging in pleasure and instant gratification right now, a few months from now, a few years from now, when you're not in the best situation, you're gonna think damn, why was my younger self so selfish about how I was living in the moment? A lot of us are truly mean to our future selves. We put all the difficulty for ourselves tomorrow, for ourselves a few months from now. Why don't you just go through that discomfort right now so you don't have to live through it in the long term? I want you to realize that your actions do have consequences and they do have power for the good and for the bad. So when it comes to any situation, just ask yourself, is this going to benefit my future self, or am I just going to make my future life worse? Also ask yourself, am I just putting these things to the side to let my future self take care of it? You will become your future self either way. The time will pass and eventually you will become your future self. So why not be nice to your future self and start doing actions that will benefit your future self instead of destroying your future self's life? If you keep on doing actions that will destroy your future self life, you're probably going to end up in a very bad spot and you're going to end up like a crackhead on the street. I really wish I had known this a lot earlier. I'm still happy that I've learned it right now because there's still people who are in their 40s who still don't even do things for their future self. So the next thing is, you probably are asking this question like, okay, how many actions do I do for my future self and how much do I enjoy the moment right now? So here's a perfect balance that I found, and I learned this from like a stoicism quote. It's basically to live as if you were to die tomorrow, but prepare to live another 100 years. So think of a soldier going to war. Tomorrow he is going to war, he's getting deployed in the war zone. So today is his last day just living a normal life. How is he going to spend his last day in normal civilization? Well, suddenly his time has a lot more value. Suddenly a lot of the things he used to worry about, like dumb arguments online, stupid petty arguments with friends and family, dumb, weird, like social media beef, stuff like that. Things that annoyed him about his like wife or something. Suddenly, a lot of those things become less relevant and less attached to him because he realizes his time is a lot more valuable. So when you realize that you might only have a day left, what are the things you're going to focus on? What are the things you're going to wish that you would have done? I think thinking this way, where you might die tomorrow, is a great way to filter out a lot of the actions you do right now and to figure out which ones are actually more valuable and which ones are just a waste of time. Because when you realize that you might get deployed to war tomorrow, things like going on Pornhub, things like scrolling on Instagram and watching dumbass reels for an hour a day, things like arguing online, things like just stuffing your face in with like just gluttonous food, suddenly those things become less valuable and you're going to enjoy the things that actually matter more to you on your last day. But on the other hand, the soldier, there's also a chance that he might live and survive the war, right? So he's still going to prepare to live another 100 years. So this is a way that I like to think of it, is live each day like you might die tomorrow. Make each day worth it. And this will help you find like what you actually want to do and help you find which actions and sort of things you value. So pretty much it's a good balance of figuring out what you actually value. If you don't have much time left, what are you going to value and what are you going to suddenly not care about as much? What things are going to start to become irrelevant, right? But then also, which things are you actually going to want to prepare for? I started thinking like this. I suddenly stopped worrying about like maybe hate comments, dumb things like dumb arguments online, just pointless, stressful thoughts about some random thing that happened years ago. But then it also made me want to make my time more worth it by working on things I care about, like making videos, working on this fitness program that I'm working on, pursuing firefighting, stuff I actually care about, preparing for my future life, and then also taking the nonsense and the bullshit out of my life to make each day more worth it and enjoyable. So the last thing is your ego. Now, we all have an ego, and that's totally fine. But a lot of times it gets out of hand and it prevents us from learning things and actually progressing. If you have a big ego, you're not going to learn from your mistakes. You're not going to learn anything new, and you're not going to make progress. So putting your ego aside will truly allow you to just grow more as a person and get more stuff done. Here's some examples of my ego getting in the way and preventing me from starting and learning things earlier. So the first one was starting martial arts. It took me years of thinking about starting martial arts before I actually did. The reason why is because I didn't want to look stupid. At this time, I thought I was kind of tough. I got in a few fights, and I didn't want to get beat up on my first day of class and just feel like a pussy. So instead, I just ignored it, and I just put it off to the side for a long time. With my YouTube channel, I didn't start my YouTube channel because I was afraid of failing and feeling like dumber than I wanted to feel like I was, right? I didn't want to feel like I was dumb. I didn't want to feel like I was bad at something. It took a long time to actually start a business because I was worried of failing, and I thought I was smarter than I actually was. And I realized, like, okay, if I failed in business, then I'd feel stupid, and that would kind of like ruin my whole sort of identity about my smartness, and it would just take a hit to my ego. The thing is, if you think you're the shit, if you think you're way smarter than you actually are, way better than you actually are, and you're not willing to put your ego to the side and have a little bit of humility, you're never gonna learn, you're never gonna try new things, and you're not gonna learn from your mistakes, because this pride is just getting in the way of you actually trying new things and realizing that you might feel stupid about trying certain things. You might look stupid trying certain things, and you look like a beginner, but that's totally fine. And the thing is, the reason why you probably have an ego right now is because it makes you feel kind of secure. You don't want to feel like you're lame. You don't want to feel like you're a noob. You don't want to feel like you're a beginner. But trust me, when you just put that to the side and you suddenly realize, like, okay, I'm not much, I'm just a regular guy, I'm not special, then you'll actually feel a lot more secure, because you don't have to be constantly trying to fuel your ego this whole time and constantly trying to figure out how you can, fuel your ego. You can simply just exist without having to worry about your ego too much and just have more of a learning mindset. So, yeah, I just wanted to share some very important things I've learned, and those are some of the biggest things that have benefited me so far. So I want to share them to you. So I'm probably going to make more videos like this because I think there's a lot of value in them. So if you liked the video, subscribe. If you didn't, don't subscribe. But yeah, bye.